Hi everyone, and welcome to this module of Goviness, where we explore what really happens behind the scenes of every bottle of wine. Hi everyone, and welcome to this module of Goviness, where we explore what really happens behind the scenes of every bottle of wine. Today's journey is all about how wine is made, not in a technical, intimidating way, but in a fun, eye-opening way. Because when you understand the process, you start tasting wine with a whole new perspective. Wine isn't just something that magically appears on shelves. Every bottle is a result of hundreds of tiny decisions: when to harvest, how long to ferment, whether to age in steel or oak. Understanding the basics of this process helps you connect with the wine you drink, and it gives you the power to choose what you truly enjoy. In this module, we'll walk through how each main wine style is created, from red to white, rosé to sparkling. We'll talk about key techniques like fermentation and aging, and what they mean in simple terms. You'll also discover the world of natural, orange wines and sweet wines. Let's begin where many wine lovers do, with red wine. What makes red wine red is not the color of the grape juice, which is actually clear, but the time the juice spends in contact with the grape skins. This contact, called maceration, gives red wine its color, tannin, and structure. Red wine follows a pretty straightforward path. We start with harvesting, then gently crush the grapes and remove the stems. The juice ferments with the skins, which is where the magic happens. Then, a second fermentation, called malolactic, often softens the wine. After that comes aging, which could be in oak barrels for complexity, or steel tanks to keep it fresh. Finally, the wine is clarified and bottled. Now let's talk white wine. Here's the big difference. There's no skin contact during fermentation. The grapes are pressed right away, and only the juice is used, which means the wine stays light in color and fresh in style. This method helps preserve delicate aromas and crisp acidity. For white wines, grapes are usually harvested a little earlier to keep natural acidity. They're pressed right away, and then fermented at cool temperatures to lock in those fresh fruit and floral notes. Malolactic fermentation is optional. It softens acidity and adds creaminess, but it's not used in every white. Most are aged in stainless steel, but some styles, like oak Chardonnay, spend time in barrels. Rosé wines are often misunderstood. They're not a mix of red and white. They're made with red grapes, but the skins only stay in contact with the juice for a few hours. This gives just enough color and soft fruit aromas, without the structure or tannin of a full red. Think of rosé as the best of both worlds: refreshing like a white, expressive like a red. There are three main ways to make rosé. Direct pressing makes pale, refined wines. Short maceration gives more color and fruit flavor. Saignée, or bleeding, comes from making red wine. A portion of juice is bled off early and turned into rosé. This gives a bolder, more powerful style. And now, let's pop some bubbles. Sparkling wines get their fizz from a second fermentation. That's what creates the bubbles. It can happen in a bottle or in a tank, depending on the method. This is where the magic and pressure happens. First, let's look at the traditional method, also known as the champenoise method. Here, the second fermentation happens inside the bottle. Sugar and yeast are added to the base wine, and the bottle is sealed. As the yeast eats the sugar, it releases carbon dioxide. And since the gas has nowhere to go, it dissolves into the wine. The wine is then aged on the lees. That means it sits with the dead yeast cells, which give it creamy textures and flavors like brioche, toasted nuts, and buttered toast. This method takes time, but creates depth and elegance. The second main method is the Charmat method, also known as the tank method. Here, the second fermentation happens in large pressurized stainless steel tanks. It's quicker and doesn't involve aging on lees. That means the resulting wine is fresher, fruitier, and lighter, with more focus on peach, citrus, apple, and floral notes. It's perfect for easy drinking styles like Prosecco or Moscato, and it's very popular in Latin America too, especially for young, fun, festive sparkling wines. Let's start with natural wine, one of the most talked about styles today. Natural wines are made with minimal intervention. That means no added yeasts, no lab enzymes, no clarifying agents, and often very little sulfur. They're usually unfiltered and made with organically or biodynamically grown grapes. The result? Wines that feel raw, alive, and full of character, though sometimes unpredictable. They reflect not just a place, but a philosophy. Next up, orange wine. Despite the name, it's not made from oranges. It's actually a white wine made using red winemaking techniques. That means the juice of white grapes is fermented with the skins, giving the wine color, texture, and structure. Expect a bit of grip, complex aromas like tea, nuts, dried fruit. It's a style rooted in tradition, especially in Georgia, and today, it's made by adventurous winemakers all over the world. Now let's go one step further, into biodynamic wine. This method goes beyond organic. It's based on a philosophy that views the vineyard as a self-sustaining, living organism, in tune with the rhythms of the moon, the planets, and the seasons. Growers use special natural preparations, like manure fermented inside cow horns, to nourish the soil. The goal is balance, vitality, and deep expression of terroir. Biodynamic wines often feel vibrant and pure, with a strong sense of place and energy. And finally, let's sweeten things up. Sweet wines can be incredibly sophisticated, far beyond your average dessert wine. They're made in different ways. Late harvest, where grapes stay longer on the vine and concentrate sugar. Noble rot, botrytis, which shrivels the berries and adds complexity. Ice wine, where grapes freeze on the vine. And fortification, like in port or muscatel, where alcohol is added mid-fermentation to stop sugar conversion. Expect flavors like honey, dried fruits, spices, and long finishes. Winemaking is full of choices, and each one leaves a sensory fingerprint. The way a wine smells, tastes, and feels on your palate isn't just about the grape, it's about how it was made. Was it aged in oak or steel? Fermented warm or cold, left with the lees or filtered crystal clear? Let's break down how those choices impact what ends up in your glass. Want to train your palate? Do simple side-by-side tastings. Try a Chardonnay aged in steel next to one aged in oak. You'll feel the difference in body and flavor. Taste a Charmat sparkling like Prosecco, and compare it to a traditional method. One's light and fruity, the other rich and creamy. And if you're feeling adventurous, try an orange wine next to a classic white. It's a whole new world of structure and aroma. Tasting like this helps you connect the dots between winemaking and what you feel in the glass. At Goviness, we've created a space where anyone can learn, without fear, without snobbery, and with a lot of joy. From our essential tasting course to explorations through the terroirs of Latin America, we invite you to keep learning, discovering, and enjoying wine in your own way. Your next glass might just change everything. Cheers!